Hi everyone, this is Sharon Goulet from digitalnomadwannabe.com. I would say coming live from Melbourne, Australia, but actually this is a recording after the Facebook Live had some sound issues, but I'm going to go over the same stuff. So today is my 5th case study update about my newest site on Malaysia. And today I'm going to talk about what I did from months 10 to 12, which was mid-July to mid-October this year. So we're nearly up to date. Our next case study update will get us up to date. Now at the start of this period, I just come back from a month in Peru where I had nothing on the site. In June, my traffic was 22,000 page views. I earned $440 from affiliates. This was from booking in Agoda for hotels, Klook for attractions and activities and some random stuff they sell on there, Bus Online Ticket for transport, and ads, which was a combination of Azoic and AdSense. I just sort of switched to Azoic. Now during months 10 to 12, I buckled down on what I was already doing to try and grow this and tested and chose affiliates to move forward with. I also did a research trip to Malaysia, which was quite successful. And I'll also say there, I'll talk more about this in a minute, but note how I say research trip, not like I went on a holiday to Malaysia. It was a research trip. I very much treat it like a work trip. Now, if you've missed my previous updates, I'll link to them below when I'm finished, and you should definitely go watch them. This will all make more sense with context. And everything I talk about in this update was only possible because of the work I put in during the first 9 months. Now, as always, I'll go into detail about what I did and learn so you can copy and have success too. And I'm happy, as always, to answer any questions. Now, before I get into it, I do want to let you know that my premium course, Build Blog Freedom Fast Track, now includes a course on how to start a second site. So if you're someone like me and you love the idea of building more than one blog, there's now like an add-on to the course that you can do if you choose, certainly not essential, about whether you should do a second site in the first place. Because a lot of the time, honestly, the answer is no. So that'll help you to decide. If you decide yes, I walk you through how to find a niche, how to work out that it's a good niche, what I do to test it, so that you're not wasting your time later. And then it's about how to actually start the site, like what to consider when buying your domain name and how to buy it, getting the site set up, and basically everything you need to know so the site can then go through the 10-week program, which is the fast track, so how to do the SEO and affiliate marketing at that point. So yeah, now you now get that included if you buy Build Blog Freedom Fast Track. You can find it at digitalnomadwannabe.com/BBF. And if you happen to be watching this within a day of me standing here recording it, there is a sale on at the moment for Black Friday. So make sure you hit it up and give it a go. Now feel free to ask questions. And like I said, I'll answer you as soon as I can. So what did I do after month 9 when my last update finished? Well, at the end of the last update, I was testing Booking.com and Agoda after Hotels Combined ripped me off. So trying to work out a hotel affiliate. Now I had half the links to Booking and half to Agoda. Now, normally I don't recommend you change every link on your site when you want to test something because it's a lot of work and you'll end up never testing anything because it will seem too hard. Generally, you'd only do this on your most popular posts. But in my case, I just had to leave Hotels Combined. They'd stopped paying me. It was ridiculous. So they all had to change anyway. I didn't really know who to change to. So we just changed half and half. Now, at the start of this period, it was obvious that Agoda had done so much better. I only had one booking with Booking.com and a lot more on Agoda. Now, this was a very different result to what I had on my travel blog in the past. And it's a good illustration of why you should always test these things for every site because even similar audiences can be quite different. So at the start of month 9, my VA switched everything to Agoda. So we went forward with that. Of course, now Agoda's actually just changed their program. So there's only a 1-day cookie instead of what it used to be. So maybe it's worth testing again. Unfortunately, these things can be ongoing. Now, around this time, I also started getting ready for my Facebook group of planning a trip to Malaysia. I see this as an integral part of growing my business ongoing. So I made images for the group, like the cover image, etc. I wrote a detailed how to plan a trip to Malaysia post on the site that I could pin. It would be like a real go-to, cornerstone article. I wrote a schedule of what types of posts I would do when. I got into Smarter Queue. I already use it for DNW and I highly recommend it if you've got a Facebook group. You put tons of posts in there and they recycle. So it's like you set it up and then you really do just forget about it. You don't have to go back every month and add more. So there's lots of questions, shares, other things. I set up questions when people join the group. I try to get them onto my email list, find out where they came from and use those questions as well as what I can. And once I hit publish in the group, I kind of did the opposite thing and I sent it to my email list. So So for that site and for D&W, I'm constantly trying to get everyone who reads any of my content to both join my email list and join my Facebook groups. It doesn't matter which one they do first, but then I'll try and get them in the other one. So I've got that access in email and I've got that access to them in Facebook as well. So I send it to the email list. I add it to my onboarding sequence, so they automatically get asked to join the group several times when they join up at different points. I advertise it across my site. It's in the sidebar. It's on the homepage. It's also, I don't know if I put it in the menu on that one. Maybe I'll do that as well. It's already in the menu on D&W. Key posts, so ones that get good traffic, I also advertise it near the top of the posts. I'm doing what I can. And most people, I think, do come from posts directly into the group, probably followed next by email from what people write. I also advertise it when people join a family travel group I admin as well. It's one of the questions, are you going to Malaysia? Oh, you should join this group. I don't think that's really doing anything, but it's there. Now, this is definitely a slow burn. And although that was like late July, start of August, so that's like 4 months now, the numbers are still just in the hundreds. I think I'm nearly at 300. I'm really hanging out for that 1,000 mark, which is when it seems like Facebook starts referring people to you, and then growth can be more rapid, and Facebook's doing it for you. So hurry up. Please, can I get to 1,000? Anyway, I'll stick with it. I really feel like it's a really good move. Now, at the end of July, my husband also went back to work. So I had less time to work on Dive in Malaysia as I went back to 3 days of work a week. It's his turn to get to work full time now, and it's my turn to look after the kids some more. We've still got a little one who we don't want in childcare all the time. So I don't know, I'm happy to spend a couple of days with him, to be honest. But it also has its challenges, of course. And around that time as well, everything always happens at once. I got the flu. I had 2 weeks of barely able to do anything. I didn't even look at my laptop or a phone for 5 days. That's how sick I was, because I've never done that before. If you know me, you would be really worried about me. You know that at the time, because that's not me. And then, of course, my kids were sick as well, and August was just like a loss. It was a write-off. I think I only added 2 articles because of that. Theme park reviews, which have worked well for me previously. They got good buying intent. I would say that this made them shorter because they're just a review, but still one was over 6,000 words. I am very thorough. I also tested which transport partner to use, EasyBook or online bus ticket. And this time I did just test on key articles rather than everywhere, and EasyBook won. So I switched to them mostly, but it really depends. Sometimes online bus ticket just has better options. And EasyBook didn't really have much, depending on exactly where you're traveling between. So I do tend to do which is better, but a lot of the time they're the same, and then it goes to EasyBook. I worked on improving my onboarding sequence for email as well. Now, I did hit a growth plateau for traffic, which continued throughout the period. And actually, my traffic has only started going up again since the big update earlier this month. So the November update, November 2019, if you're watching this sometime. Now, I find this normal. And every single site I've owned has periods of fast growth, then plateau for no apparent reason. Sometimes the fast growth can be somewhat steady and not necessarily like exponential, but it doesn't tend to be like minor and just like a little up, like say a little up like that. It tends to be like that plateau. I really don't know why. I've never been able to figure it out. It doesn't tend to align with seasons for me. I don't tend to have sites that are very seasonal, actually. So I know that it's really normal. It's what I expect to see, but it did feel longer than normal. I did still get frustrated. I'm still human, but it was okay. I knew that was to be expected, but I'm very happy that I'm off the plateau finally. But that was not during the period we're talking about, the getting off anyway. In September, I kept up with my group. I was able to work a day a week on the site again, and it was all about preparation for my upcoming trip, where I went at the end of September to Malaysia's East Coast. Now, I hadn't been to that part of Malaysia before, and I knew I needed to cover it off so I could really talk about Malaysia as a whole, and so I could do things like write an ebook, or if I can have a proper discussion about which is the best island in Malaysia, and all those sort of burning topics could be covered. So a day a week was spent planning for that with all the content for the trip. I'd already planned where I was going. I'd done that earlier in the year, but I hadn't planned all the content. So it was an 8-day trip. Actually visited 7 places with 6 hotels. So that gives you an idea of how much I did. And I was able to get 4 to 5 articles a day of good keywords out of that. And September was spent planning those articles. It was obviously a lot of work. And I actually wrote quite a few of them before I left, and I updated them as I was on the road. So all the things to do articles I wrote a lot of transport ones. as much as I had time for, I wrote the articles. And then it was much easier to make sure when I was on the road, like to just update them and get them really good, because I couldn't have wrote all those articles as I traveled, obviously. Now, people who say you can't write just based on research, I think I could say from this that it's pretty easy to, actually. And nothing I wrote from my research was wrong. There wasn't a single thing I wrote before that trip that I found was wrong when I got there. I could add more to it for sure when I was there and make it more valuable, which was my goal, but it wasn't wrong. And it really has been my favorite approach, not just for this trip, but all the travel I've done for this site, to write before I go, as much of it as possible. And then when I go, I find I already have such great knowledge. I'm not just worried about big picture stuff, but I'm noticing all the little subtle things that make me have really valuable articles. And because I just have to update, it's very easy to update as I go, somewhat, I must admit. It still took me a while to finish that many articles. But I just find I end up with much better articles than what I did when I don't. So if you're a travel blogger, I do recommend try and do that for your next trip. Try and write some of the articles before you go, and I think you'll notice just how well you already know the destination when you turn up, and what a better article that can turn into. So the ones I wrote, when I wrote the full articles, sometimes I just wrote parts. I published them so they could start aging, but I backdated so they didn't really come up anywhere. Although the only real problem with them was that they tended to lack photos. Now they had some, because I use stock photos wherever I can. I am not a photographer. I don't plan to become a photographer. I don't feel it's necessary for my business to have those skills. And it's just like hard with kids to ever take time taking photos. That's just not going to happen. So I'm more than happy to buy stock photos for anything that I can, but you can't for everywhere. So, they were lacking photos a bit. So at the end of the month, I did go on that trip. I took my 7-year-old. It was the two of us. He was a pretty good travel companion, so that was pretty awesome. And I 100% viewed it as a work trip rather than a family holiday. I'm really conscious of being careful about not ending up hating travel again, because that's the biggest reason why I sold my travel blog. I just hated it. I hated all travel. It ruined my passion, and I don't want to end up with those issues. But for short periods, I actually find it quite fun to put my travel blogger hat on, and I really love how thorough I get to be with this, and what a great job I can do with it all. So for shorter periods, I really love it. But, the work trip wasn't about fun. It was a magnificent part of the world. I highly recommend it. I did have fun, but it was really about my business, and I treated every single moment of it was really about that, and making sure my son was obviously okay. I've actually booked a similar style trip for late March to knock off some content in a bit of Malaysia that's really badly covered at the moment as well. And it also aligns great because I have to take all 3 kids with me that time by myself. So maybe I'm just totally crazy and it won't work out the way I want. But it's got very kid-friendly attractions around there, so I think that will work fine. But it will be a little bit slower because it's only, I can't go to that many places with all 3 kids and all the luggage and stuff we'll have to have, because we won't have time to do washing. Anyway, in October and the lead up to the 1-year birthday of the site, I worked hard at getting all the content out. So until the end of this period, I was just trying to get out that content. Again, it was still only 1 day a week, but my 1 days at the moment, I start work about 6:30 and I work to 5, and I don't really take a break. So they are very long days, and I really try to pump it out. And I was quite energized because I really did love where I went. But I did spend a lot of those 2 weeks of October to the end of this period trying to find writers. It drove me nuts. It took a lot of effort, more than it felt it should. But when I look back now, I'm like, what a great use of 2 weeks. I've got some great writers now. I was able to get the rest of those articles out. I mean, overall, probably would have been quicker for me to write them because of having to come up, not just find the writers, but I came up with a process that works really well for me to really minimize my time. But, going forward, that's going to be really invaluable. So if you want to know about my process, it might help people who are happy to outsource. My VA, I put her through my Build Blog Freedom Fast Track course a while ago. So she knows how to do all the keyword planning, and I have specific instructions of how exactly I want the article plan to look for each type of article on my site. So she does the keyword. I do the main keyword research. I find the main topic, the keyword, but then she basically gets a keyword plan, makes an article plan. These are things taught in Build Blog Freedom Fast Track. And then she even does the research for notes for each part. So mainly I was outsourcing the how to get between 2 places posts. So she would do all that research online. Then I would go over all the research notes, and I would edit anything with my own notes from my trip and what I just know to be true in Malaysia. So I knew that everything was correct in that article. Then I would give it to the writer. So they would have, already all their subheadings, what keywords to use in which section, and already the research done, right? So they just had to write it out nicely with the keywords. So it was very easy for them. They quite liked the work because it was so quick and easy. And then I'd get it back. My VA would put it up. I would proofread and make sure I was still happy before hitting publish. I do hope in January, I'm planning to hire an editor to sort of take me out of some of those bits. But I found that was a really great way to do my content, because I have been doing most of it for the Malaysia side, and I need to stop because I have the finances to outsource it, and I don't have the time to really do it. So to me, it was important to get a process, but they're things you can think about if you've got the funds and you really want to get more content out. So anyway, so that was all done, but because the east coast of Malaysia shuts down for the monsoon period, which was just shortly after we left, it's already happening now. And that part, just you don't go until like March again, it'll open up. These articles won't pay off to then, although I can see already some of them are ranking quite well. And plus, things need to age with Google. So I'm hoping it'll line up pretty well. And it's definitely the best coverage of the region available now that I've been able to find. So I'm really happy about that. But what was really the best part of that trip? It wasn't even the content or that it was beautiful, like so beautiful, the east coast of Malaysia. But it really got me thinking bigger about what I want to do for this site, far beyond advertising and ebooks. And it started me thinking about a more physical business in Malaysia and doing online services far beyond what I've done before. I actually have think bigger is like my saying now. I have it everywhere. I didn't realize what a good saying it is actually, because even just anything in my personal life, whatever, anything that worries you, just think bigger is kind of actually a good way to get yourself over it. So even though I started it with thinking about the Malaysia site and my business, I'm using it for everything and I love it. But yeah, there's just so many things I would like to do. This is the site that, that I want to take to be my prime money earner. I want it to be the thing that can support me. I'm also trying to build it up so it's not reliant on me, because if you've watched my first one, my big goals are to have some type of exit strategy from my company where I can still keep earning income without having to work at all, that it can all just be without me. So that's why I try and get processes and really have to stop the writing. It's all part of making sure it's never reliant on me. But anyway, my next step is to continue to grow the site and my group. So what I'm doing now, the good part about the site is that as traffic gets bigger, I have access to an audience. They're all planning to go to Malaysia. I'll know what they want. The good thing about focusing on affiliate marketing is you don't just know what they say they want, you know what they're booking and what they're spending money on. And that can be really insightful, so that when I want to do something bigger, I know where to start, right? I know I already have an audience for it, so it'll make it a lot easier. Because I have many ideas at the moment. I saw lots of gaps for tourists in Malaysia. But it doesn't matter if I see the gap. I've got to be able to market that to the people who would use my service or whatever, right? So that's what the website will be. So for now, it's just really about becoming that authority, getting that traffic and those people, so that, later I can work out the best way of what to do with them. So to finish up, in September, which was the last full month of this update, I had 25,000 page views and I earned about $500. Advertising on Zoic was nearly half of that. Klook was up next, and then hotels, which was lower than normal, and some transport. So it really didn't go up much over those 3 months because of that traffic plateau. I'm hoping that November, now I'm off it, is going to be a lot better. But like I said, I'm not concerned beyond frustrations that everyone has, because who doesn't want it to be making $1 million already? But I'm not actually concerned. I know it's normal with a site, it'll plateau, it'll do whatever. I do want to point out again though, for others following along, I do think this RPM is not very good, like how much I'm earning for that much traffic. And you should generally be aiming for much higher. But I am thinking long-term with this site. And just as important to me as making money is being seen as the authority. Since I plan to monetize beyond affiliates and advertising, this will help me raise it to where I need to get to for other things I want to do. But that sounds great in theory, right? But that may not be for your life, because I already have my online business earning enough money in other areas that I can devote not as much time as I'd like to this, but enough, right? That it's growing and doing the right things. Whereas if you don't already have that happening somewhere else in your business, I'd just be aiming at getting that RPM up to do those affiliate focused content, to really get your site earning the income you need so that you can work full time on it. Whereas I can never work full time on this because I'm not ready to dump my other projects. So it's not just about money for me. Anyway, so that's basically what I did in months 6 to 12, nothing crazy. 9 to 12, I should say. Nothing crazy, no rocket science, solid, fantastic articles, solid SEO, solid affiliate marketing, solid testing. And I also did this in less than 1 day a week on average, plus of course that week when I was traveling. Now, I do want to remind you again that Build Blog Freedom Fast Track, now has a course specifically on starting a second blog. So you can go through that, help you get started. And that's on top of the 10-week program that walks you through exactly how to do SEO and affiliate marketing for success. Now, my next update will cover mid-October to the present, so I can talk about what's happening right now from now on. But I will give you a hint of what's to come. There's so much talk at the moment about that November Google update. I don't know why, but I wasn't impacted. The only thing I've been able to think of, and I'm sure people watching this will slam me down, is it could be about updated content, because I know like the sites that have been hit seem to be bigger. Often are like old with a lot of content that aren't like blogs that are older with a lot of content where probably a lot of it's not updated, and saying I do well is keep updated. A lot of my sites are newer, so they're just updated, like they're new. The content's new, so there's no problem about freshness. Because I actually spent all of yesterday doing keyword research for all my sites, because my VA goes on maternity leave in a couple of months, and I wanted to do all my content planning for that period before she goes on leave. So I planned like 7 months of content. I actually found it far easier to find keywords than I have in a while. I saw lots of blogs ranking. I'm certainly not seeing what people talked about with more of those bigger professional sites, non-blogs ranking. That was my experience. I saw lots of little ones, even some Blogspot in there and stuff. So yeah, I'm just not seeing that. So lucky me, I guess. Now, there was a couple of questions people put when I did this actually live, so I'm just going to answer those. Ellie asked if I'll apply for Mediavine when I hit 25,000 sessions based on your current earnings, or do you think you're better off with Zoic with the Asian audience? 100% think I'm better off with a Zoic. I don't think Mediavine would let me join anyway. I think my traffic's about 60% Malaysian and Singaporean, and then there's bits from all over the world, and some of that is Asian as well. So I'm not sure they'd let me join. Plus, they wouldn't even monetize that. So even if I got to the point where 25,000 was coming from the countries they like, then I wouldn't be monetizing most of my audience with ads. And yeah, it's not going to be worth it. Plus, I'm actually finding I'm getting about the same or more with a Zoic with this Asian audience than what I get from Mediavine on my solely Australian audience. So don't just assume Mediavine will be higher anyway. It's taken a bit longer for a Zoic to warm up. What is it now? Like 5 or 6 months, but it's a lot higher than it was my first month. It's going really well. I'm really happy with it. So I feel no reason to switch at all. Now, Annette asked, do you write articles no matter what the competition on keywords? Generally, no, but sometimes yes. So just to sort of elaborate on that, I want to be the authority on Malaysia, right? And I want to be able to answer questions of people like in my Facebook group. I want my site to be the one-stop shop. If you're planning a trip to Malaysia, you don't need to go anywhere else. Now, there's certain things that at the moment I've got no chance to ranking for. So like saying things to do in Kuala Lumpur. The good thing is those bigger places tend to have more long tail ones, which is what I went after, a more long tail. But it's still going to be really hard. But, I can't have a Malaysia site and not have Kuala Lumpur. Just about every person in my Facebook group that's going to Malaysia is going there, and if they land on my site, how could I not have it? So yeah, there is like those big, like that and Penang and Langkawi I route regardless. Generally, no. Like all those articles you saw from the trip, maybe 1 or 2, I didn't look at the competition possibly, but I think I did. I think they were all fine. A lot of them are already going well. So yeah. I guess the other thing I do, this isn't about competition, but I did do a hotel review for every hotel, even though some of them don't have any search volume for the hotel name review. But I actually even booked my hotels based on the more popular choices. And sometimes there was some constraints around that, like we just wanted to stay near the airport in Singapore because we were just there overnight. So yeah, I did write those anyway, and I just see that as adding to the authority of the site, that they will help with the relevancy and all that, and that it was still worth doing and helpful to people when a hotel review doesn't take that long anyway. But generally, yeah, I do care about the competition. I don't seem to have too many problems finding keywords. I've got like lists of hundreds of them I could write to if I had the time. So it's all good. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this case study update and you find it really helpful.